The devil's eyes.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I'll play again.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Killer, Mom.
I'm just gonna bash you.
Killer.
What's blood for? If not for shedding.
Welcome to 31 Days of Horror Movie 2021. My name is Sam Johnston. I'm your host through this month of horror. 31 days, 31 horror movies, and hopefully 31 episodes of this podcast that we got going. I got a couple guests with me today. Leslie and Adam.
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome to the podcast, y'all. Thank you for joining me on my very first day 1 of October.
Yeah.
The premiere of this little
premiere.
experiment that we're doing, which is this podcast. Let's start it off with the first one.
Yeah.
And so just to give a little backstory of what we're doing, 31 days, 31 horror movies. We're going in chronological order. So we're starting all the way back in 1960 with Eyes Without a Face, which is a French film that I had never seen before. None of us had ever
I've
seen
never
before.
seen it.
A surgeon causes an accident which leaves his daughter disfigured and goes to extreme lengths to give her a new face. I had never seen this one, but this is a horror movie that's definitely on a lot of lists of horror movies you have to see, essential horror movies.
Yeah.
It had been on my list for a very long time.
There were a lot of tropes for sure that I could tell. I'm pretty sure lots of people grabbed from it.
Definitely. With all these movies that we watch over the month, it's important to, set them within the time period that they're made too. Because there's a lot of things that they were doing in this movie that I was like, wow, this is 1960. It's almost a body horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a medical, it is a medical horror movie, for sure. And it's like the body horror is way more extreme than I thought it was going to be.
Same.
Yeah.
I literally thought that we were never going to see the daughter's face.
I didn't even think we were going to see any blood.
No. Yeah.
Honestly.
No, same here. And
But there was.
But I just kept I was like, please let us see her face. And we did. We saw it once. And I was pretty happy about it. She kind of looked like the villain from the Marvel movies. Red Skull.
Yeah.
Red
Lack of
Skull.
nose.
Yeah, the lack of nose and stuff.
I you say like a body horror movie. I felt like it was a monster movie.
Yeah,
like
for
she
sure.
was even though
She was a delicate monster.
Yeah, she was delicate. She was built as this doll the whole time. It really felt to me like she was
her hands
she
were
was
this the whole time?
unreal in the world. She was more than human. She wasn't human, and they were trying to make her human by giving her a face. And I felt like it felt like a monster movie. In
It
that
felt
sense.
like I thought of Frankenstein so many times.
Yeah.
Because he was this kind of mad. Her father, the surgeon, was this mad scientist of sorts that was trying to reanimate life, give her a face again, and going to the extreme lengths of getting her the face and, doing all the things that we're talking about. It very much reminded me of Frankenstein, and ultimately at the end he was killed by his own creation when he got pulled apart by the dogs.
By the dogs.
So, he was making these beasts by keeping them in cage and experimenting on them, and eventually it all comes back to him. At the end of this episode, we'll each have our own out of 5 smash pumpkins. How good we thought this movie
I love
was.
that. I really do.
I'm hoping to play a Smashing Pumpkin song at this moment while we say, Smash Pumpkins. Yeah. Straight from the top, it was the shots that were in a car. We have this woman who we later learn is the secretary of the surgeon, driving around with this person in the back.
In the back seat.
Not really, no words are said for the first 10-ish minutes of the movie while she's driving around. And I mean, there was a couple times that they were using these, tracking shots, POV, a lot of POV.
Yeah.
Which definitely, this movie's all about eyes, without a face. So they're using POV, it seems very intentionally, to put you in the perspective of this person. And there was so many times that I just try to note all the times that people were looking at things through other things, whether it was through windows, through car door, like car windows, or through reflections. There was just a lot of obscured vision of people looking at things with things obscuring them. Well, it's also like a kind of a loss of control for the audience too. Like, we are in the shoes of whoever's eyes these are. Are they going to go into the train? Like, we can't control, but we're just kind of along for this ride.
Right. Getting taken a place that we might not want to go to.
Ooh, I definitely did not. We knew what was going to happen to that poor girl.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that was kind of the interesting part of the movie. Like, by the time we got to that third girl, because the first girl was essentially the girl who was right in the beginning that that they got rid of.
Yeah.
Right off the top, we're disposing of a body.
Yeah. And we're like,
We're
what's
like,
going
all right,
on here?
we're here.
Yeah, and that was kind of surprising for me too. I was like, okay, yeah, we're starting off strong.
Yeah.
And we don't even know who that was at that point.
No.
Which was cool. I think cool storytelling in that way of like, we don't know who that is. And then even when that was revealed who that was, we still didn't know how much the doctor was in on it. Is this secretary working by herself to kill people for some reason? They were revealing the story in pieces very well, I thought, at the beginning. It felt like, oh, okay, now we're learning that the person who was getting rid of the body is the secretary of the doctor. Oh, now we're learning that the doctor is in on it too. Oh, now we're learning that
the daughter is also in on it.
Essentially.
Knows what's happening.
And it's for her to replace her face. It was very piecemealed out, I felt like, well paced at the beginning. And it felt satisfying when they finally revealed what was going on.
Yeah.
In this fucking massive manner that this surgeon has.
Enormous manner.
That car.
And he seems to be, as we see him in the first moment that we see the character, he's giving this speech to a bunch of people and they're all like, you're so amazing. What you did is so inspiring and
he's
stuff.
He's clearly a man of stature for sure. They established that straight from the top. He's the head surgeon of this hospital. Obviously very wealthy.
But as soon as he gives that speech, he mumbles something about like, what did he say to those
Something along the lines of, they're like, it's amazing how much you progressed to like medicine, and he's like, medicine should already be here.
Oh yeah,
like
it should already
be this progressed
because and then he leaves, and then we get that obscure shot of seeing their reaction through the mirror, and she was just like, well, that's a really weird thing to say, and it's like they admire him, but they also can see that he's a little bit kooky. Yeah.
But they still give him that credit and the power because he's the surgeon. He's built up this reputation. Even though they know something is off, they're going to turn a blind eye.
Yeah. Because he's doing miracles.
Right. In the name of science. In the name of science. Which is, it again goes back to this Frankenstein thing, you know, that classic, like, in the name of science, in the name of progressing, like making these sacrifices.
It's interesting that this movie poses it like he must have gone through that journey, but the beginning of this movie, he's already on like, forget the sake of science. This is for the sake of my daughter.
Yes.
And even though the daughter feels like he's just using her as a guinea pig to like achieve his ends, his personal ends, I really felt like, even though he was so like gruff and like reserved in his expression, I really felt like he was doing it for her sake. He was doing it for or his own shame.
I think that also kind of goes back too with so many of these shots being of people looking at things through mirrors or through windows, things obscured because his view of the world is now obscured. You know, he only sees doing this for his daughter. He will sacrifice anything, and he's blinded by his passion to fix his daughter's face, so much so that he's not seeing all the pain and the destruction that he's leaving in his.
That he only has eyes.
He doesn't have eyes.
Oh yeah,
he's blind. He can't see.
Because of the ending.
He doesn't have eyes. Oh yes, and at the end, the dogs ripped up his face.
Yeah, and left his eyes,
and he had that fucking gross eyeball hanging
Yeah,
out. I was
yeah.
like, again, 1960.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
really good.
Yeah,
Killing it.
Yeah.
The effects looked great.
they were
I mean,
great.
that-
The peeling of the face.
Oh my
off,
God.
Yeah.
pretty good.
Really
That's
good. That
it
whole doctor scene was crazy. And I read that when they premiered this movie, it was, I think, at least 7 people had to be hospitalized because they fainted.
You know,
I mean,
it's
even
just
for
like-
us watching it, I was like, ooh, like all the shots were very much, especially with the main character, you know, you can't see her face. You can
You
only
can't.
see her eyes. So
But, like,
everything was very eye
The
heavy.
mask though was so like
It's a very porcelain
cool.
doll.
Mhm.
In some shots, because they dressed her like all in white too. She
Yeah.
looked like a statue.
and his
Yeah.
and her like clothing were so exaggerated. You can see that she was so petite.
She's so thin.
so
yeah.
very thin.
I thought because she had to perform just through her eyes and then physically. I thought it was great. I wasn't really sure if she was a good or bad the whole time.
That's why I feel like she was a monster. Like, even though like she did have character, she had some choice, especially at the end. She chooses like how the events are going to finish. It really felt like she didn't blink on camera while she was wearing her mask.
No.
She just had her eyes
Oh my God,
wide
yeah,
open
that's
the
true.
whole time.
Yeah.
Her
And
eyes
she-
were big too.
big eyes, porcelain face, slender figure that moves around like she's dressed like a doll,
She's like-
moves like a marionette or like a dancing like
Yeah.
doll.
Made me
It
think
just,
she was a dancer.
she was unreal because of this like wound she had gotten and the way that like her father like was so precious with her and like was also so ashamed of her burned face and made her cover it up. It just was this.
Because it was his fault.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The accident was his fault. He tried to fix her up, and it was still his fault. And he like wants to cover it up and make her just have a normal life.
I think that because we do have like a scene or two where it is her like transplanted face and it looks great, but it rots away. And that to me is like, you can keep trying to cover up what's going on, but whatever, you know, is underneath is going to come to the surface eventually. He was doing evil things. The evil was going to the evil rot was going to like seep through the skin no matter what, because
Yeah, I like that.
it was going to happen. He couldn't cover up what he did.
And I love the progression of the rotting skin.
Yes.
It's just like day one.
It felt very
I could
medical.
see- yeah.
It did.
It felt very
Like a diary, like a
Yeah.
video diary.
But I can also see being like, if I'm making a movie and I want it like to express the horror of someone being like evil within, show that like scarring
Ooh,
kind
yeah.
of like it just looks. It was horrifying the way her face was melting away, and it just was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a slow burn. You did not see the girl's, like the daughter's face until a little later. She was just like, anytime that she was not wearing her like face, she would just be like lying down, and the whole time you're just like, are we gonna see her? Are we gonna see her? And you didn't until like later on.
And even
I wanna
when
see,
we
I wanna
did see her face, it was still out of focus. And it was still kind of obscured because we're seeing it through like a drugged up
Oh my god.
girl's
yeah.
eyes. It was like all fucked
Oh,
up.
yikes.
Which I think was a very smart and good way to kind of reveal it.
Yes.
We knew
Same.
she was messed up.
Yeah.
We didn't need to see it fully. You know?
Yeah. That POV.
That POV.
And that music, oh my god.
Yeah, so there was that one piece of music that was right at the beginning. It was right in the beginning
Right.
credit. And then through that scene of the secretary, it was definitely the secretary's theme.
Yeah.
It was.
It was this like circusy, big top.
Clowncore.
Yeah, like the energy of the music and the pace of it, it was like frantic, and it definitely elevated the sort of feelings of like, oh no, just because of the speed of that music. But it really sounded goofy, circusy. And
It
like,
was a little silly.
atmosphere, though. I really liked the moments where it was like there's a couple moments where a person was just illuminated by a single light, like the
Yes.
the father of the the first missing
Oh my
girl.
God, yeah.
And he was just suddenly illuminating this light from the doctor's car. And then when the doctor comes and visits the third girl, she's got like this like flashing like
Yep.
thing going on, and then suddenly he walks in and the woman like turns around and he's got this flashing on him.
Yeah.
And that was just like some really cool visual like atmospheric like lighting.
Yeah,
things.
they were using light so well, and that's what I thought of, like, because I wrote down that moment when the two fathers who have the two missing daughters pass each other. This is a really interesting moment, and the guy's who it turns out is actual daughter who's actually in there, but he lies to him. The doctor lies to him and says it's his daughter that's dead. He's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And he's like, "I'm sure." You blah blah blah. And he gets in his car and he turns on his headlight, and the man is blinded.
Yeah.
He literally blinds him of the truth that that's his actual daughter in there, and literally blinding him in the eye. And then that moment you're talking about at the end with the flashing lights usually mean warning.
Right.
She's being flashed in her face, warning, while
Holy
he's
shit.
standing there,
Yeah.
warning, this is a bad person that's standing right in front.
He also just wanted to be able to change reality to his will.
Yep.
And like make it be what he wanted it to be.
Mhm.
And when he slaps his secretary at the like for like starting to
do this.
cry at
Yeah.
the
The funeral. Yeah.
And
She's
just
like, I don't want to keep murdering people anymore. But then you never saw that sympathy carry on. It was
No, it
just
was
like
literally
that
that
moment.
moment.
Mhm.
And
Of,
then
like-
she seemed very cold for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She was like, except for that moment, she seemed completely with what he was doing, because she was literally there in the surgery helping him out. She was getting the bodies from him, getting the girls. I thought she was her performance was really good.
Very good.
And I think that crying moment's kind of a strange out of character moment for her, but I thought the rest of her performance was really good. She was like this, like she was scary. You know, because
Yeah.
you knew every time she was going around, like,
Ding, ding,
watching these
ding,
people,
ding, ding,
the
ding.
music comes in,
Yeah.
music comes in, silly or not, you knew, like, what she was going for,
Yeah.
and she was scary. You're like, okay, who's
She
she
was
gonna
like
pick?
grooming people too.
Yo, yeah.
Grooming these girls, and she's like buying them stuff, taking them to lunch, and then offering a room to them in this mansion that she doesn't tell them where the place is. They felt safe.
Yep.
And then they no longer felt safe when they were in the home, and then they saw the doctor, and they're like, "Oh, something's creepy about
Yeah,
this."
when they opened up the door,
He's
like the
just
double
there.
doors, and he's right there where the doors meet.
And she's
and
like,
it's just
"And I'm gonna
oh.
go.
I'm not going to be here long. I have an
Yeah.
appointment with a friend." I think it is kind of about this bending reality to your will, and what that ultimately leads to is your own destruction. You know, man trying to play God, essentially.
Fix his mistakes.
Fix his mistakes, or just for this kind of vanity pride sort of thing in the
Yeah.
end of being able to do it.
Do all your sins make up for the one good thing you're trying to do. A miracle. He's trying to perform a miracle.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's more than just he's trying to reach towards being God. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only plot was the cop plot that just didn't really work.
They never made an arrest towards this girl that was shoplifting. They were like, instead of sending her to trial, because that would be a bad image for this beautiful girl, why don't we just send her to the fucking, like, doctor?
The doctor, see what happens. Yeah, it was this weird thing of, because they realized that all the people that went missing all went to the hospital or something.
Yeah. Or they had all the same, like,
They all the same features or something like
Blue
that.
has-
Their plan was to send her to the hospital, and they did. And she went to the hospital, and she ended up getting kidnapped and almost having her face removed.
Yeah.
And then they show up later at the hospital and are like, "Oh, she went missing? Well, I guess she probably just took a bus home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably fine.
Here's his
Our-
transcript of...
That whole plan that we had before,
Nah.
it's fine." If they would have just gone to the hospital and been like, our suspicions are true, we have to inquire about this, that kind of leaves it open to, okay, they're going to uncover the truth. They're after the movie, that what we don't see, their journey is that they will go and uncover the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it really needed for me, really, to feel like that would be satisfying, but they didn't even do that. They were like, well, forget about her.
And the fiance's like, sorry, I called you. And they're like, yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good, dude.
You're
Shake your
good.
hand. It
Something
happens all
about
the
your
time.
heart.
We start doing our job, and then we just stop.
I completely forgot the operation we started today.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
What was her name?
Whoa.
What was her name?
Wow, that happened fast. I was.
We dyed
Doing a
her
little
hair.
doodling.
We did.
Yeah, they did a whole
Yeah.
makeover.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of completely forgot that whole sting.
The ending. I didn't think it would be the dogs taking revenge.
Oh yeah, that killed the guy. But I like it like one of his creations killing him.
Yeah, I do too.
I like that.
Yeah.
I do too. And
It made complete sense.
and it was the last dog that he had got. The
Oh,
German
shit.
Shepherd.
I was a German Shepherd. Yeah.
Oh,
He
you're
was
right.
like, charge! And
Yeah.
it was like,
And they ripped his face off.
And then they ripped his face off.
And now
Oh.
he is
Oh.
eyes without a face.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Adam. Let's start with you. How many Smash Pumpkins do you think Eyes Without a Face deserves?
Okay, I think personally, it should get 4 Smash Pumpkins. Just like 4 full Smash Pumpkins. While there weren't a lot of like screams and stuff, it still felt like visually it was just like it was so rich and so intense that I really did enjoy it.
I'm gonna agree. 4 pumpkins. Just because I think the concept of the detectives could have been a little bit stronger, and then the clown music. We could have used maybe another clown music.
Maybe
I
a
like
different
the-
clown music.
Yeah,
different
I
clown
like the
music.
usage of the clown music, but it was just kind of
Everyone should
maybe
have
we
had their own
entered
clown music.
the little part of the clown music a little bit too early. Maybe it could have been more of that like you know, like
yeah.
a little bit darker, like a little light and then dark.
My critiques are pretty much the same thing. I think that it was just pace-wise, it was the police story that really we didn't need there, that kind of messed with the pace, and then that music kind of took you out of it for just a moment. Not too much, but enough for us to comment on it, obviously, this much. So
That is true.
But I think that definitely what they were going for was achieved. It was definitely visually striking. I thought it was a beautiful film, very well done. This guy definitely knew what he was doing when he was making this, and it was a good first day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
definitely a good first day for.
Great place to start. That moment when the I guess it's the second, but the first one we see, the first girl is on the thing, and the daughter comes and like touches her face with both hands, and that felt very like. I feel like I've seen that before. I feel like I've seen that like a lot of times before, that like 2 hands reaching out to touch that face kind of felt like that image really stayed in the like cultural consciousness and like keeps being used again and again because of that. Like
It's invasive.
It's very invasive.
very
Like-
invasive.
I thought this was a great start. This was a great kickoff to the month.
Yeah, thank you
And
for
I'm-
inviting us.
Of course, of
This
course.
was amazing.
Leslie, Adam, you will be back this month.
Oh, yeah.
many
Thank
times,
you.
many
Yeah.
times.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Anytime.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see the more scares, and I'm excited to get scared with y'all too.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know, I will scream.
Perfect.
Any of the like jump scare kind of stuff. Ooh, I throw stuff. I punch stuff.
All right, cool.
Also slasher films.
So we'll
I will cover my eyes.
be sitting separately for
Separately,
any of those
she should definitely be surrounded by pillows, probably only.
blankets.
Yep.
But I'm excited.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Tell people where they can find you. Give you a little plug.
Hell yeah.
All right, cool beans.
Me?
You? Yeah, you
Okay.
start off.
You can find me on Instagram at damninhd. You can also find my podcast on Instagram at season 3, episode 4. The words are words, the numbers are numbers.
That's a very fun
Yeah.
podcast. Definitely check that one
Super
out.
cool. He's been on it. I've been on it.
Yes,
Yep.
she has.
Multiple
This
times.
is a big
It is
pod
a
crossover.
Pod fam.
Yep. Big pod fam.
You can find me on Instagram only at Color Me Leslie. Just a bunch of my personal pictures. Very colorful.
Very colorful.
Very
Great art.
colorful.
You do
Thank
great
you.
art.
And you can find me at Beep Beep Richie T on Instagram, and also check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we are recording from.
Yes.
Also my room.
Also, same room.
Amazing.
All this stuff is not a prop. It's all real.
No,
that he
it's all
collected.
real.
We're just
He
really in my
loves
room.
this shit.
Yeah.
Loves it.
Really
for
didn't have
real.
to set too much up.
Yeah.
But,
No.
You say you're not an expert, but honestly,
I don't know, man.
I think
at
this
least I
podcast is in good hands.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Thank you all so much for tuning in. See you later. For
Bye.
31 days.
Whoa,
Peace.
spooky.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of 31 Days. Special shout out to Adam and Leslie again for being a part of the show. I will see you back tomorrow for Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds from 1963. I'll see you there. They're everywhere. The birds. The birds. No.